All right.
Oh, we live?
We are live. Welcome back to another episode of Lobby Call. I'm your host, Maxwell Hunter. We have special guest here, Ryan Svendsen. Dan will be joining us later. He's running a little late.
LA traffic.
Right. Yeah, so Ryan is a music supervisor. He's an artist. He's a musician. Am I missing anything else? He's a TikToker, famous TikToker.
Burgeoning TikToker.
Yeah, I'll let Ryan give his own introduction. Who is Ryan Fenton?
Well, right now, I'm a music supervisor. I work for a company called Millennium Media, which is an independent studio in LA. We have a studio in Bulgaria where we make all of our films, but that's like my profession. But on the side, I play trumpet. That's how we both met, and I just have fun with that. And if the two could connect at any point, that's awesome. I love doing that, but it's, you know, I'm just all about music. That's what drives me and motivates me and gives me meaning. So as long as I'm contributing to the arts, it's like that's what I love to do.
What was first? Was it your trumpet playing first, or was it music supervising first?
It was
first off. Wait.
Yeah.
What is music supervising for the people who don't know and viewers and listeners?
Yeah, essentially, music supervision is the art form of pairing music with visual media, and a lot of times there's just so many intricacies involved in it because you have to first of all find the song, clear the song, make sure the directors, producers like it, make sure it's a good fit. Is it the right time era? Is it like historically correct for whatever visual media you're going for? That's across film, TV, advertising, video games, whatever it may be. And you know, American cinema hasn't been around for that long, let alone with audio. So it's a relatively new craft, and it's an exciting one because it's a great way for artists to make extra money, and it's an exciting way to just connect with people. And it's an amazing feeling when you finally see this piece of visual media and you get to be part of a film that might be bigger than, you know, you as an artist. So to be in a Mission Impossible or an Expendables film and to hear your song come on and it helps elevate a scene like times 20, and then you see your credits in the end, and then you get great publicity because now you're attached with Tom Cruise or whoever else, and your song blows up. I mean, you saw it happen to Charlie Puth with Fast and Furious. I mean, that became the emotional song almost of all time. Yeah, I mean, they played it at, you know, Kobe's memorial. It's just been like the heartfelt anthem for whenever it's needed. And I think that's the power of music. You hear, and why songs get so valuable and why they cost so much. If you hear it, the first 2 seconds of it, in your mind subconsciously, you know how the rest of the scene is going to play out and where the whole mood of the feeling is going to go. And so that in a nutshell is music supervision. And I try to avoid being a music supervisor as long as possible, actually, because the field is just really tough. I mean, it's harder to get on than an NBA team in terms of positions.
Oh, wow.
It's definitely harder to make money than the NBA. I mean, a lot of these music supervisors are independent, so they're jumping from project to project with different directors. Like, luckily at Millennium, I get to be in-house and at least have a steady slate. But I'm also seeing all of their music, which not every music supervisor does. There's usually studios have different divisions, and they hire these music supervisors independently. But the opportunity presented itself after I left Lionsgate, and I've just been rocking with it. And I've noticed, you know, saying you're a music supervisor, immediately artists are intrigued because they have something to sell and I have something to buy. So at first I wanted to be referred to as a music executive or a head of music, but I'll go with music supervisor. I'll go with music supervisor for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, what is the first off? Like, what is the process of being a music supervisor? Is it like, oh, hey, Lionsgate, for example, I want to be a music supervisor? Is it like an application? What's the process for?
To getting to be one, I believe you first should have somewhat of a musical background. I mean, it amazes me always how many executives out there don't know how to read or play music, and you don't have. That's the great thing. Like, you don't have to, but it certainly helps when you're interacting with the very people that do that as their living and art form. But in terms of getting into it, as I was saying, it's very relationship based. Like, these directors and producers, they have certain go-to people, and that's why you'll see maybe the top 10% of music supervisors get all these gigs, is because they've made a rapport. You know that they're reliable, you know they have the connections, and you know they could bring $1 million music budget down to 200,000 or less. Right. They know the tricks, they have the relationships, and can get you there with a certain budget. So breaking in, all you need is one hit really to rock it up there, or one relationship with a producer or director to establish with. That's why so many composers get repeating gigs, is because they establish a relationship with the director, like John Williams and Steven Spielberg. Right. You have Des Platt and Wes Anderson. You have Damien Chazelle and Justin Hurwitz. It's like you form a bond with someone, and you get in a rhythm, and you don't want to disrupt that. Right. And it's not worth taking a risk with someone else. So music supervisors kind of fall in that spot. It's like one of Joel C. High, music supervisor. He does all of Tyler Perry stuff because he's done a relationship with him, and he does a great job every time. So I think relationships are super important, and it was a long grind for me. I worked my way up from being an assistant, and then executive assistant, and then joining Lionsgate as a coordinator, and being there for 6 years, and seeing what music supervisors do, but not really getting the opportunity to do it. But I was doing some other things, such as working on a lot of soundtracks, and seeing how marketing works and publicity with all those fun things. And then when the opportunity finally came, it was like, okay, now you just got to dive in and do it. Yeah. And
you've done Hitman's Bodyguard and the sequel to it, right? Or no?
So I worked on Hitman's Bodyguard. I worked on the soundtrack for the first one while I was at Lionsgate, and then when I left Lionsgate, I ended up becoming the music supervisor for the film, the sequel, which was pretty cool, because I just got to do things in a higher capacity and oversee the soundtrack and pick all the music for it, and work with the director closely. So that was a lot of fun.
Okay. What would you say is your favorite movie? Because I know you worked on a lot of different movies. Hitman's Bodyguard, Till Death, Jolt. What's that one?
And then this next Friday, the 20th, August 20th, is The Protégés coming out as well. That's with Maggie Q and Michael Keaton and Samuel Jackson. Yep. So I'm excited about that one as well. It's tough to name a favorite, because each film has its unique characteristics, and they're so different. Like, some are comedies, some are dramas, some are thrillers and horror films, and musicals like La La Land. But at Millennium, my favorite one to work on was probably Hitman's Bodyguard so far, just because it was a lot of music. There were 17 songs in there. There were challenges because we had to do it over COVID. I was given a nice budget for it, so I had some fun with that. And working on La La Land was a dream. When I was at Lionsgate, that was just one of those projects where I was given more responsibility, and so was able to do a little bit more.
Did you meet Ryan Gosling?
Not directly. I didn't meet him directly, but I saw him on the red carpet when the premiere happened, and I had to do a couple things for him. There was I
had to get his coffee.
Pretty much. He's like, "You're Ryan, I'm Ryan. Right. Let's do this." It was publicity approached me, and they said Ryan's going to be on the Ellen show, and he wants to give the audience something, because Ellen's really into that, giving away things to all of our audience. So he was wondering if we give away the soundtrack, and I was like, oh, that would be amazing publicity. So I got in contact with Interscope, who was releasing it and distributing it, and I said, hey, we need 500 vinyl copies, which is a lot. Yeah. That's a lot of vinyl. Yeah. And they said, yeah, but they saw the value in it, because it's just great publicity. And So it turned out all the vinyl was going to be delivered on the day of the show. But Ryan also wanted everyone to get something to be able to play the vinyl. He wanted everyone to get a record player.
Right.
So I started reaching out to all these companies. Hey.
There he is.
My apologies, gentlemen.
Oh, no worries at all.
Woo! Dan's here. Where's my?
Good to see you.
Likewise, man. Ryan is here. I'm so underdressed.
Welcome to the party.
Yes.
He's like, there we go. So Dan's back. He missed the episode, but it's all good. He's in good spirits.
We're just getting started.
Yeah, we're literally just getting started.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're talking about Ryan being a music supervisor for different movies in La La Land, and
I'm familiar. I'm a fan.
you know, The Protege is about to come out. And we're just talking about that. We know you're a movie buff, if you will.
More or less. It's a little bit.
Now, we were just talking about just like, you know,
It's Omni? No?
Yeah, that's one.
It is? This is the Omni. Directional? No?
If you just sit back all the way, yeah, it'll pick it up. It'll pick up just like that.
Hello.
But yeah, you were saying.
Okay,
Ryan.
So I was just telling a story about, he said if I ever met Ryan Gosling, and I had to do something for him, basically, and he was being on the Ellen show, and so I had to get 500 pieces of vinyl of the soundtrack to give to the audience members as a gift. But then Ryan was also like, how are they going to be able to play the vinyl? And I was like, that's a great point. Well,
fair.
Yeah, no one has vinyl players. Not really.
Right.
Not
I think the statistic was 70% of people who receive vinyl can't even play it.
right.
But that's a lot.
I'm shocked that it's like 70%.
Yeah.
That's way less than I expected, actually.
Well, and yeah, it is.
Yeah,
And I was also thinking that it's of people who receive a vinyl. Like, you're not going to give a vinyl to someone who's not musically inclined or not going to listen to it or
Or
something.
like an audio file or something,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons why we included a digital download in every single.
That makes sense. QR code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
redeem here. It was also a weird time before everyone had access to streaming. I mean, it was 2016, 17, but that was still relatively new. And so I had to reach out to all these different companies to say, hey, would you give us 500 vinyl players gratis? And vinyl players are really expensive, as we all know, at least quality ones.
Especially good ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And this company, Vinyl, VNYL, they're a subscription vinyl. They send you 3 vinyls a month based on your playlist that you listen to, which is kind of cool. You don't know what you're going to receive, and it's a good way for you to find new music. But they said, yeah, we'll give 500 vinyl players to the Ellen show. So they did. And it ended up turning out great because Ryan went on the show. Ellen brought out that cart and revealed all the vinyls, and then the vinyl players were there as well. And it was like everyone's super happy, and it ended up becoming #1 vinyl. So that was dope.
Right.
But just little things like that, where the music could help service the overall project in some way and form. Like, you always look for those wins.
Side note: what is your musical background? Because I know you went to UCLA, right? Did you study? Was it classical? Was it jazz? Was it?
Yeah, I was classically trained.
Okay.
Going to, like, in high school, I was always doing swimming and water polo, but like by my junior year, I just realized I wasn't going to make it at the collegiate level.
Okay.
So I started to get good at trumpet, and I was part of the California Youth Symphony, which was awesome, and then that kind of got me in shape for auditioning and classical repertoire, and I wanted to be in a classical setting, but then by my junior year of college, I was just realizing this is going to be ridiculous because openings happen in an orchestra once every 15 years.
Yeah,
Like, once you're in. Like, you're not leaving.
You're not
It's
going to...
It's like
it's a pretty solid
final
gig.
note.
Right. It's like a post office job. Like, you're not leaving until you're like
No.
90 years old. You look at orchestras now, or philharmonics, if you will.
Yeah.
And like they're like most of the people there are like really elderly, and you see like grandma playing the flute and violin and shit. So yeah. So I went to UCLA, and then by my junior year, I just realized it was going to be ridiculous. And thank God my
professor told me straight up, you're not going to make it. You're not
Oh, damn.
you're not at that level. But I needed that tough love, and I was looking to go to other universities like UOP, which is in Stockton, University Pacific, or some other places to do music, and there they might have encouraged me to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But I was in a really big pond at UCLA, a small fish in a big pond, so I realized quickly, like, this ain't it, or I'm not going to make it.
So that transitioned you into more of like, not classical music, but like regular music.
Yeah, like more contemporary.
Yeah, there we go.
Sure.
God,
yeah, absolutely. It was anything but classical. Smooth jazz.
I just wanted to go on record that Max forgot the word. He forgot the word for pop today.
Yeah.
Normal music.
Not normal music.
It's regular.
Anything other than non-classical. That's what I got into.
Okay, and so is that how you got? Just for the record, Ryan has done the trumpet for the Lil Nas X song that just came out not too long ago.
That's the whole beat, as far as I'm concerned. You basically wrote the song.
Well, no, I cannot take credit because, first of all, Nick Lee, he wrote the horn line like over a year ago, and I was just sent it to add real trumpets to.
Got you. Wait, so did they send you a mock-up, or they sent you?
Yeah, it was like midis. It was real. A lot of trombone in there. It was all trombone.
Yeah,
it was all trombone when I got it, but they sent it to me at like 9:00 on a Thursday night, and you always got to be worried about your neighbors and playing, but they're like, we need this back ASAP. And I was listening to it, and there's a lot of harmonies in that like dun 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 bum bum bum. It goes up and down and all over. So I was just layering it as much as possible, doing all the octaves, and there's this outro as well, and I sent that back, and they were like, yeah, you're in it, and I was like, that's dope.
That's like the placement of the century. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
You're famous now. This is I tell all my friends about you, right?
Well, the cool part was yesterday I was driving in the car. I went in Irvine, the LA Rams are having their practice center, which is pretty cool, and I went there with my dad, and the hit station was on, and the song came on. And it's just, you look over, and it's just like one of those cool things. Where you're like,
that's me.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how emotional of a moment is that for you? Because, I mean, like, granted, like, we're still, like, sort of, we're not really in quarantine anymore, but, like, have you been to a festival and watched, 50,000 people, 100,000 people go up to something that you played on yet?
Yeah. I mean, it was...
You experienced that?
No. I mean, seeing Jack post that on his Lollapalooza set, it was the crowd, and... they're just going freaking wild to the
it's fire.
I was telling Maxwell about just like doing this TikTok, a little TikTok I made just about how it came together. It's like it's 15 seconds long. I was just like, it's that voice, the text to voice, and it's like what it feels like to be sent a song and have it turn into a hit, and then it just showed me like recording over it, and it's at 600,000 views right now on TikTok. Like it got shared and stuff.
So he's TikTok famous, and
I'm just saying, like, if there's any way that I could inspire like people to find a voice or to play or something on their instrument or make a connection, because it's been a long burn. Like I've been doing this for a while in terms of reaching out to artists and just saying, hey, do you need horns, and trying to let them know what the value of it is, because you can't recreate any sound and have the emotion or tone or resonance.
Not with MIDI.
No,
for sure.
No,
for
not
sure.
yet.
Some plugins are getting really close, but
it's not the same,
bro. It doesn't feel as heavy. Like especially like guitar and horn specifically. Like I feel like it doesn't matter how good the MIDI is, how sophisticated the plugin is. It just never sounds the way.
It doesn't have that human touch to it.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
and Jason Derulo's Trumpets was the song that really made me want to change that, because
Side note, real quick, people always say that I look like Jason Derulo, and I don't see it.
I don't see it.
You look like Derek Hodge.
I can see more of that, but
you're growing out the beard though a little bit, aren't you?
I'm trying, man. I gotta get that derma roller going. You know what I mean? It takes time. I'm trying to be like you.
No, it takes time.
Great beard, man.
This is all fake.
It's like
it's a weed.
Right. It's like it's a strap on.
And cancelled.
Right.
Yo.
But yeah, that's fire, man. Like, what's your TikTok so the viewers and listeners?
All my socials and stuff is just music before.
Okay.
I made it consistent across. Even my website, musicbefore.com.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm coming in late, so I don't know if you guys like discussed it already. But was the goal for you to play like in pop and contemporary and stuff like that, or was it like always more like film driven? Because like I know you're a music supervisor and stuff like that.
Yeah,
or...
I didn't want to do anything film based with Trumpet. Not recording or anything. It was more of just a side fun thing to do, which it is a lot of fun. Like I don't know what song's going to end up in my inbox or who I'm going to meet, but it's one of those things where they've kind of blended together just a little bit, but it's helping me get a little street cred and my name out there more by just being like, oh, he's a musician, but like his main profession. And the plan was always for my profession to be in the music business.
Nice.
Right.
So where do you I had like 8 questions I wanted to ask.
Yeah, no, it's
yes, like where does performance fit in, like for you?
It's late night. I mean, I work during the day, from pretty much from 9 to 5. The pandemic's changed up my whole approach and thought process on working, because at Lionsgate, it's like and any corporate job that I had before, I was an assistant at United Talent Agency. It's like you get to your desk at like 9 o'clock. Unbelievable.
Taking L's.
Unbelievable. Like you get to your desk at 9 o'clock. You stay at your desk until lunch, and then you come back, and then you stay at your desk for longer, and that's it. And then now I have the freedom to go about and do other things that are important, and I'm not being micromanaged in a crazy corporate company. Not saying Lionsgate was, but these
disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
This is the best job.
Yeah, but it really is. I mean, I thought smaller companies, it wasn't going to be as fun, or I was all on board with corporate, but and I still could be. I'm like flexible, but it's a pretty sweet deal right now, because the guys that I work with, they're younger as well, and they just get it, and they have an idea. And I've seen this with all these films. It's like it starts with the script, and then it's just like a roller coaster, and then we end up, and it ends up getting released in a relatively short amount of time. We have the facilities to make it, we have the capabilities to do it all and see it all through, and it's just it's pretty dope to see.
Sure. Wait, so do you feel like you have to perform to stay sane also? Or?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, so like I do that during the day, and then at night I do the trumpet stuff, and go to sessions or work on music through that, and try to network a little bit more and get my name out there.
Sure. What about like live performances? Like
I
on stage?
I was doing that at first, but it just takes up so much time. Like I'll do it if it's worth it, but if it's like a $100 gig, I'm not gonna do it, or $200 because it's you getting to the sound check a couple hours early,
rehearsals.
Exactly.
Learning the music, taking time to learn the music.
I can't. I gotta prioritize. I can't do that with my current job, and so
it's like I'm an adult now.
Doing session stuff is like way more
lucrative.
Yeah, it's like you could do all these like little gigs like that, or you could do one big one like Little Nas, and then
never have to work again for the rest of your life.
Were you at the video shoot for the?
I was actually an inmate already in the back, and you could see me as an extra. I'm like, hey, Andrew, me.
I was in that shower scene.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Funny story about that.
Twerking. Like it's...
So I had the video, or like I posted it on LinkedIn. I actually have like a pretty big following on LinkedIn. It's amassed just because I'm always positive. I feel like positivity, uplifting, confident stuff always outshines anything negative. Like some people will post negative stuff on LinkedIn. It's like you just gotta be uplifting. Like even if you get let go for a job, like I was, you post about the positive stuff that's gonna come from it. But I posted the thumbnail. You know how on YouTube it's auto thumbnail generated when embedded when you post a video. It's of Lil Nas in the shower scene. You know, I can't change that.
Of course it is.
Yeah, of course. Because that's like, you're going to click on it because of that.
Yeah.
But I just posted about playing trumpet on the song and everything. And then LinkedIn took it down because it was violating their community. They thought it was. Obviously, it's all censored, but they said it was too risque for that platform, which I thought was hilarious.
We don't allow just
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if someone reported it or if their filter saw it or whatnot, but it's just one of those things.
For sure.
It's interesting because, like, just hearing from your point of view, because originally I wanted to be in film. Like, I wanted to film compose. I think both me and Dan wanted to do.
And you still can.
Yeah, it can, but it's just like I'm in too deep now with like just.
I don't think so, man.
You'd be surprised. I mean, look at
bro.
someone like Trent Reznor, right? Like Nine Inch Nails. He's done that his whole career, and then he pivots. And I've been in so many meetings with so many artists where they're like, I want to get into film. Because they're tired of touring, they're tired of the same stuff.
It's exhausting.
Yeah,
it
is, man.
But it's a totally different beast. When you finish your album as an artist, you're like done, right? There might be a couple of A&Rs who say something, but with film, you're getting feedback from the studio executives, from the producers, from the director. You have all these test screenings who might say this isn't working, so you got to be way more flexible and be able to change and orchestrate and do all these really intricate things that are very technical and not every artist is good at. I mean, Trent Reznor has Atticus Ross as his composing partner to, they're a duo, and it's like because they complement each other.
Right.
And, it's tough to emerge in that scene, but it happens all the time. All it takes is one good movie.
Yeah, it's so interesting, man, because I feel like I have a lot of friends who are composers for film. I mean, since I moved here anyway.
Yeah.
Like, just networked with a lot of people who just happen to be, film composers or, composers' assistants and stuff. And like, naturally, they have a lot of friends who, like, tour or doing, like, a bunch of, like, live sessions and stuff. And all of, like, cats like me and, all of them, like, we all desperately want to get into film because even though, like, producing music and touring is, like, very fulfilling. Like you still have that film geek part of you that desperately wants to like affect culture, like for like silver screen shit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and all my composer friends are like, "Fuck, I really want to go on tour." You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like no one is like really.
It's like the grass is greener on the other side.
I know, right?
Every time
it is.
And I think it has a lot to do with the whole like. I don't know, just that instant gratification, or I think that's what composers are missing. You know what I'm saying? Because you spend all day like in the studio, you're composing, you're producing all that stuff, and then. Like once the film is finally done or whatever, like maybe it gets an Oscar or whatever, but you never hear, you know what I'm saying? Like you never get that. I think especially for young people when we're so accustomed to getting that instant gratification, like like we have like minimal attention spans, and it's like okay, like, I did this and I get this as a reward like instantly. You know what I mean? I think as a composer, even though you're affecting culture, especially with film, like you just don't get that instant gratification that I think like all of us
having a crowd of people.
Yeah, man.
And sometimes you're already over it because you work on this project for a year or two, and then it's finally having like you don't even feel that energy anymore because you're so in it, and
sure. That's why I feel like cats like Hans Zimmer really have it figured out. You know what I'm saying? It's go and like like knock out a bunch of movies or whatever, and then like he'll just go on tour and tour the music that he wrote for those movies.
Yeah,
he's like playing
that was
guitar.
A really cool.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
you didn't know that?
Dude,
No!
He was at Coachella a couple years back.
Yeah,
that shit was nuts.
It was
what?
It was the most epic thing ever. So he decided to take his show on the road, which is insane because it's like an 80-piece orchestra on stage.
That is fire.
I called this out. So he got on the billing for Coachella, and then the week before he did a couple shows at Microsoft Theater to kind of give it a run.
Sure. Yeah.
I went to one of those shows. Most epic thing I've ever seen. Like music for Inception, Lion King, all this stuff, right?
Yo.
And he had the most badass cello player on the front. Like she was in this crazy dress and just
fine as fuck.
Yeah. You said it, not me. And so she's just playing, and like there's so much energy, and I was like, Coachella's gonna lose their effing mind over this.
For sure. Because
it's unlike any. At that time, I went to Coachella 8 times because my parents lived close out there in La Quinta, and so I knew what it was all about, and I know what people freak out over, and it was just such a unique experience for everyone because like they're not used to like seeing too many orchestras or people's strings and hearing all the music that they grew up with and all those Disney films and everything else. It was pretty awesome.
I would literally go just to hear Time from Inception, man. Like literally just to hear like like 8 bass trombonists playing as loud as I can at the same time. Man.
Yeah,
like, that's just gotta be wild.
Yeah, that would be fire. Yeah, that would be fire.
It was dope.
So is that why, like, so the juxtaposition, is that the right word? No.
What is juxtapose?
No, so you're doing music supervising as well as like session work,
Mm-hmm.
and you're an artist as well. So out of those three, like, what would you say is like most fulfilling?
Sorry, that's Steven Spielberg. What?
Oh, Steve. You know Steve too?
Steve? I usually call him Steve.
I call him Stevie. I don't know. We've been friends for a long time. Man.
What? Like,
because you just dropped a single, right?
Yeah, I did.
And I play bass.
Yeah, you play bass on it. Play bass on it.
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
No preservatives.
No preservatives.
Check it out. But so out of those three, like you being an artist, you being like a studio producing / all of that musician, and the music supervising for movies, which one do you think is more fulfilling?
I mean, right now they all pretty much are, and it's really gratifying because on the music front with playing trumpet, like it's a creative outlet that I get to exercise and what I was, trained for. But music supervision, I'm working with a new crew and new projects every time and making a ton of connections through that as well. So it's all very satisfying. I don't think I would be doing it if it weren't,
Sure.
So I'm really grateful for all that. But I can't really pick one or the other. They both have like their unique moments. Yeah. It was tough though starting out on with the trumpet thing because like I was going to gigs and I don't know, anyone that would just offer I would go. Yeah. So I was playing in like some weird places and for musicians that should not be putting out music, you know.
Bro, you're preaching to the crowd. You're preaching to the choir right now.
But like if you get, and I wasn't even doing it for pay either, I was at first just trying to get exposure and get.
I've been paid in chicken so many times. I'm not exaggerating. Like, dude, just like chicken and pound cake and the butter, like just green beans with way too much fucking butter on it. Every church pays their musicians the same. It's just, we can't bless you like we won't bless you.
Yeah, that's like our origin story. It's just playing for chicken dinners and exposure.
Yeah.
One time
I guess that like defies the starving artist term, absolutely. But at the same time, there's a reason why everyone says it's true. It's really hard to monetize the arts, and luckily with streaming and through podcasts and other things, there's awesome ways to do it where you could just release into the world and hope it generates, and you'll actually get compensated. But can you imagine like back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, like gig to gig, it's like, what? 7 days a week? It's like, dang.
And they're just like ripping off writers and composers.
Yeah,
and stuff.
right. There's no way, like no accounting system or anything.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, did you ever hear that one bit with John Mulaney? He's just like, "You gonna give me $50 whole for my song? Well, where do I sign, Mr. Baragordy?" Like it's just like, but it's so true and it's so fucked up, man.
Yeah,
man. But I don't know. I also wonder, man, just because obviously, like we came up like in the age of streaming and stuff, and that's where we sort of built our careers. Or I'm still building my career. I'm still trying to figure this shit out. But I wonder what it was like when I don't know, like someone would write a song and then. Like I don't know, like it goes diamond, it goes platinum, it goes gold or whatever, and like things where actually like you actually get paid from album sales versus streaming.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because $4,000 for a million streams is kind of like
it's a scam. It's called like just keep it on it. But I think streaming is like one of the biggest scams there is. Like,
I feel you. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's sort of like a double. It sucks, but it's also really good at the same time because I think because the music is so readily accessible to everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I have music out that if it weren't for streaming would probably never get listened to. You know what I'm saying? Like certain songs that like people, like 5-10 years ago never would have listened to now are having 100%. Massive TikTok moments. Yeah. And it's just like, dude, like Smino went the fuck up on TikTok. You know what I mean? Like 10 years ago, I don't know that even though Smino like is one of my favorite rappers right now, I don't know that he would have been able to have the reach that he has now. You know what I'm saying? Like, without streaming, it wouldn't have been possible.
I don't know. It's like it has pros and cons. Sure. I feel like streaming is just like, on the one hand, it's just like what you were just saying, like you get exposure points, and people can discover you and stuff like that. But on the other hand, it's like you get paid depending on what streaming service it is, 0.0014 cents per one. Like that's like a slither of a penny. Like for a stream, like come on now, that's like ridiculous. So it's just like.
It is all relative at the same time, though, because I have some friends on Facebook who complain about the streaming numbers, and it's like I look at their streams and they might have 5,000 on a track, and it's like, well, these other artists have put in the time, effort, marketing, and but at least you're making something, as you were saying, getting discovered, and there's no other time where I don't know about you growing up, but like. Transcribing stuff on your instrument, I'd have to put in the CD and like go back and replay it, and it's like literally everything right here. Like, there should be superstar musicians coming out these days, like Jade Collier, all the time, because they have all the tools, all the resources to listen to anything, anywhere. Like I'd always have to buy CDs of like weird stuff, or take a gamble and buy something that you've never heard before. You'd go into Tower Records and there'd be that station there where you press the different buttons and hear the different albums and stuff.
I remember, man. I used to go to FYE, do the same thing, listen to like a bunch of shit, and it was kind of awesome, man.
And it's been amazing as a music supervisor too, because there's so many songs at my fingertips now that I could drop into a film or inquire about that otherwise.
What is your process to like finding music for movies? Like finding, especially if it's like obscure music, like music that people don't really know. I don't know if that's what's the whole process of like finding music for movies.
Well, first off, it's
that aren't mainstream songs,
right? First off, it's like you need to know from the director if you have the freedom to do that, because sometimes they have specific songs that they want, and it's a music supervisor's job to kind of put a reality check on them if it could fit within budget or if it's even possible. For instance, for the film I'm working on, or the film that's coming out, the Protege, there's a scene, I won't give it away, but it's like a brutal murder, right? And there was a classic song. There's a classic song in there that they wanted being played and sung at the same time by on-camera talent. Like, it's being played through the radio, but the on-camera talent is singing to it as well. I reach out to the publisher, and what you have to do is you put out a quote request, which is basically saying, we have interest, here's the film, this is when it's coming out, this is the genre, this is what the film's about, here's the scene that is being used, this is what we want in terms of clearance. Like, is it going to be a background vocal, is it a visual vocal, which was in this case because the talent's seen on screen, but also how long we're going to license it for, what we're licensing it for, like in perpetuity, for worldwide use, because it's a movie release, right?
Sure.
And how long the usage is. Is it 5 minutes long? I mean, the song itself is only like the scene is only 4 minutes, so it has to be less than that. But then you write the description, and like, that's one of my favorite parts is, so gets his head blown off, and it's, you're like, I don't know if they're going to be cool with it, but that's your right as a owner of music, is to approve or deny those usages, because you might hear about some bands that are very strict about syncing their music, and it has to do with exposure. I mean, there's some spots, like some Microsoft commercials I've seen, where it ruins a song for me because I've heard it so many times and it's so annoying, and you're like, this is actually diminished the value of this song to me. And if an artist does a ton of syncs, it could be overexposure, and like they're making a check at the end of the day, and it's great. But some people really control that because it also has to do with the context it's being used in. So if it's a raunchy sex scene, they're like, I don't want my music to be associated with that. And then in this case, the band politely declined, and said, or the writers did, and said this. So then it's my job, before I go back to the director and say, sorry, we can't use the song you wanted, I'll pull alternatives that are in the same genre, same feel, might be cheaper, and present them to him or him or her and say, hey, will this work instead?
Yeah.
And so it's about finding a solution, what's in budget, what makes sense. And there's so many sync libraries and sync companies that have catalogs that are pitching to me all the time. I get all these emails that are like, check out this, check out this. That could be a full-time job. I mean, just like listening to everything that's submitted to me. But sometimes I have a clear direction. Other times I could rely on those sync libraries to go to, and I know that they're trustworthy and we'll get it cleared. And because the worst feeling is to present a song to a director or have it queued up and then you can't even use it.
Right.
And then it's like, well, why did you even present this to me? You know?
Sure.
It's interesting to hear it from your perspective, because
you had some success.
Yeah, I had like my song synced to my song "Shy Wind" synced to it's called "Insecure." HBO's "Insecure."
Massive song.
It was at a very pivotal moment of the show.
Is it Keir Lehman? I think is the music supervisor for that. I forget.
I'm not sure, but the way I went about getting it synced was that they had a writing camp specifically for Insecure.
Yeah.
So I went there. It was me and Masego. We went there, and they gave us a sheet of like, okay, this scene, we need this kind of music for this scene. They described the scene.
Yeah.
And for the song that we did, I kind of already had the song written, "Shy Wind," but we just kind of tailored it to kind of fit the mold of the scene.
That's great.
So
that must have been an amazing experience.
Yeah, it was fire. And so when I first saw it, the episode, it was a really pivotal moment in the show too. They had a really big fight. I think it was the last season we just had it that just came out. But Issa and her best friend had a big fight. And that's the song that you hear. I don't know if you guys if you're listening and you want to go back and check it.
It was great.
But yeah, it's and so when I heard it, I was like, oh wow, this is cool. That was my first like sync on screen. It was like a really good feeling.
Yeah, and it's a great moment. And the music for that show was always really great. And I worked on the show Nashville as well, and we've had a couple writer camps as well, and everyone just gets together. I don't know how many groups were there that day that you went. Yeah,
well, this year's writing camp is a lot. It was a lot of people there, but this was like last year. And
I was like 150 like producers, musicians.
It was just pandemonium. But the one I went to, I went to both, but the one last year, it wasn't that many people there, and it was a nice relaxed feeling. They gave us the sheet of the scenes, and we just had to write music.
You just have the day to do it, or is it a 2-day thing? Or
it was like a 2 or 3 day writing camp, and as soon as they heard it, it was like, oh, that's it. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Pay me, right? But just kind of segueing in, oh my God, what is going on?
It's okay.
Segueing into our discussion today, we're going to be discussing indie versus commercial music, right? So I want to know, like, what do you think the major differences are between indie and more mainstream commercial success in music? I'll start. You start there. What do you think?
I don't know. When you say, do you mean like indie the genre, or you just mean like independent?
Independent, like someone who's like me. I would be not really considered indie, but like independent, like indie music, indie. Yeah. So when you think of indie, I'm not mainstream, not pop.
Yeah.
But like,
well, I get that. So I think my question was really I don't know. You know how like indie literally means independent, but because of like the sort of commercial success of indie music, all of it kind of sounded very similar. You know what I'm saying? In the same way that like you can write like classic rock is literally classic rock, but because of the sound, like all of it sounds so similar. Classic rock is also a genre. You know what I'm saying? So you can technically write in 2021 a classic rock song, even though it wasn't written in the 70s. Right. You know what I mean? So never mind.
No. I completely understand what you're saying.
Okay, cool.
But I mean it in terms of just like, not the genre, but like, for instance, I'm trying to think of someone who's not like a major artist, but they're independent and their music doesn't sound like, poppy or mainstream music. For instance, I'm trying to think of an artist, a good example.
I'm trying to understand this question.
Yeah.
Let's
say the question out loud.
What is the major difference?
What do you think the major differences are between indie and more mainstream commercial success? So, for example, I think for me, the Shy Win placement, right?
Sure.
At that point, I was indie. That would be an indie success for me because that was something, that was a success. Now, someone more mainstream, for example, Industry Baby, that song with Lil Nas X and Jack Harlow is doing great numbers right now. I think that would be considered mainstream success. What do you think the differences are?
I mean, I think there are a few. I mean, like, I don't know, that's an interesting question.
It is.
Like,
It's a complicated question.
I think generally, like, in independent success, like, yeah, typically you just have like way less of marketing budget to throw around and stuff like that. So something that, like, I don't know, like, okay, like say for instance, like if Drake dropped a song or whatever, 2 months later that song has like 15 million plays.
Right.
That, for him, that is a complete failure. But if I right the second decidedly, I want to be an artist, you know what I'm saying? And I drop a song today, and 2 months from now, it has 1 million plays. I'm like, yo, I'm fucking killing the game right now. Like, nobody's good but me. You know what I'm saying? Like this is, so, I think, I think the difference between like a commercial success versus an indie success is, mostly just
numbers,
expectation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And perspective.
Right. I think more so in like for indie, I kind of think that it's more of like you have more control creatively. Like you have more creative control. As opposed to like more mainstream, you kind of have to tailor your music to a certain. You have to kind of tailor a certain way so that it can be accepted for the majority of the population to kind of enjoy it. Yeah, I'm just like, it is a very interesting question. Not gonna lie.
I think with mainstream, you have someone like Billie Eilish who was such a fresh sound because her music does sound indie and it's all made with her brother, and you don't have these superstar producers being brought in, but she still has the marketing budget and the resources and the intrigue to hit on a mainstream level. But her music is very, you wouldn't consider it that mainstream at first,
right?
No.
But she was just so intriguing as an artist, and will continue to be. And
well, hopefully,
yeah, you could only hope. And that's
sell out, Billy. Don't sell out.
Well, I mean, when I don't know. That's the other thing about selling out. It's like you gotta do what the tide takes you. What are you gonna say no to all these opportunities? Sure. I mean, I guess you can, but it's. I think that was always a term that I kind of raised an eyebrow on, selling out. It's like, what, success is wrong now? You know, no,
right.
And there are smaller wins that indie artists could do that mainstream artists can't do anymore. So it's all relative. Like, they could they could work with anyone that they want to work with. They're not contracted by these big record labels or having to do certain obligations to fulfill out a contract. They probably don't have a major advance that they're having to pay back out of pocket. They have more creative control in the overall process, ranging from their artwork to who they collaborate with.
That kind of ties into the question I was just about to ask. Like, what's the case for staying more indie? And you put out a lot of great points. What do you think, Dan? Like, why would someone? What are some of the reasons why you would stay indie? On top of what he just said.
I mean, if I were an artist, I don't know, probably just wanting to like maintain artistic integrity or whatever, and just have the freedom to do whatever I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Because like, I mean, actually, no, that sort of made me think of another question. Like, well, you brought up Billie Eilish, and like right this second. Because of all her success and because of the expectation, what her fans want, and I'm sure because of what her fans want, what her label is insisting that she does, she can't really deviate too much from what she's been doing. I mean, obviously she can like experiment and stuff like that, because she's so successful that she has the leverage to experiment I mean, maybe not as much as she wants to, but like she can certainly experiment. But her compared to someone like Kendrick Lamar or whatever, where he was making like like basically like radio hits. He had like Swimming Pools and stuff like that. Fast forward a year or two, and we have To Pimp a Butterfly,
right,
which is a completely like sonically a completely different thing. And he was a commercial success. So like, what separates him from someone like Billy? Because I can't. And again, I'm pretty fresh to the industry, so I might be completely wrong, but I can't see Billy being able to experiment nearly as much as Kendrick did when he made that transition from Swimming Pools to The Blacker the Berry, the Sweeter the Juice.
Yeah,
I think you'd be surprised, because you take someone like Taylor Swift, who started out country and then she pivoted to pop, which elevated her to new stardom, and then now she's back on going transition to folk on her latest 2 albums, and it's all working. And it's worked with Kendrick, and I think Billy's just so new and so fresh. She has endless opportunities on where to go. I mean, she could continue to pump out. I don't think either that she's been in her full voice yet either. It's kind of like a little not as fully projected. I think she's kind of reserved right now, and she could just let it be full on ballads and going crazy. And she also really hasn't collabed much with too many other people yet either.
That's true.
So that, I mean, there are endless possibilities, and that's what I've always loved about Kanye. I mean, like, look at how much his sound has changed over the years.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
Kanye is an enigma, though.
Yeah,
that's completely.
Like
but we need people like that, and we need people to. You never get tired of him, because he's always switching up his genre, and I think it's a really big compliment when you're like, no, please go back to like that older stuff.
Yeah,
or, like, I miss that old sound.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
I think for me personally, just my personal experiences of being an artist, a new artist anyway, but an artist nonetheless, is that staying indie, you get, which is very important for me, is creative control. I want to be able to. I'm a Virgo, so I like to be in control of just like, okay, this is what I want my album. What you were saying earlier, this is what my album cover to look like. This is the music I want to make. This is what I want it to sound. This, you know what I'm saying? So all of that creative control is a huge thing for me. Yeah. And on top of like owning my own masters, ownership as well. And when going mainstream, you kind of sacrifice a lot of that. Yeah. And it's just like, I
mean, I think every artist wants to get to a point where they could sustain off of their music alone.
Right.
And at a certain point, you do need to get a team, and you do need to get a record label if you do want to get to the next level.
That's true.
So it's push and pull, and I think artists later on end up regretting the deals that they go into. I mean, a lot of them don't, though. A lot of them
we love you, man.
Right.
A lot of them are happy. A lot of them aren't. So it's it's like every
drop has a ripple in the pool, and you just gotta accept what it is. But that being said, I think being educated in the music business as well, it's like one of those things where people fall into it because they love it so much, and then they don't get educated on the back end of it, and that's how they usually get screwed over.
For sure.
And they don't look at contracts. They don't have lawyers read it when they enter into these initial agreements, and everything comes at you really quick as well, because you got to hit while the iron's hot. And you could have a hit. This is the way our society is now. You could have a hit song on TikTok and be playing on Fallon a month later. Or some
that
other
is
shit.
wonderful and terrifying all the time.
It is.
So some people are built for that. Like some people, it's been a slow burn, and they've been on the road a little bit. They know the inner workings. Others, can you imagine making a song in your basement and then having all these people adore you and want a piece of you, and then money coming at you? It's like very sudden. So that's the allure of it. It's kind of a gamble, and I don't think anyone who's presented with the opportunity to be at that next level is going to necessarily want to turn it down. But you do have some artists, at least like literally on the artwork side, that I've seen where if they're paintings like Banksy or someone, he doesn't want to be revealed or
but he still became mainstream. Like everyone knows what Banksy is,
Yeah.
you know. But another interesting one was like Gautier. I don't know what really happened, but with Kimbra for like somebody that I used to know.
Kimbrell?
Kimbra.
Oh, Kimbra.
Somebody-
Like, what you know about Kimbrell?
Somebody that I used to.
Okay.
You know that song, right? It
Yeah.
won Song of the Year, and
Yeah, where did I mean, like, you're talking about Gautier.
Yeah,
Gautier.
Gautier.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you. Yeah, what happened?
exactly, yeah.
Like, wait, is Gautier a guy or is it a band? I kind of assumed it was a band, but I wasn't sure.
I was a
I
guy.
saw him at the Greek. I don't know if it refers to him or the band.
Got you. Yeah, because it was.
I mean, speak about an indie artist who like took off, right? And then, I mean, could you hear about that all the time though with artists that do that? They just blow up. The group Fun, like they went crazy.
I loved Fun so much, man.
They're
really
fun.
did, man.
It was a.
Boo!
Boo that man,
The
stood up
vocals
for their-
was so great, man.
They were like the new Queen.
Yeah, low
Yeah.
key, and I think that like their songs were, I was like, yeah, they were
They
like
were
killing
anthems.
like they were killing at the same time that Mumford and Sons was killing.
Oh, absolutely.
And they were really
Yeah.
writing that like it wasn't really folky, but like it was like pop but folk, and I feel like all their songs were like hitting, but they could also be like sung like I don't know by like sailors or
stadium.
like,
Yeah, right.
you know what I'm saying, like they
Yeah.
all could have been like nautical hymns, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Man, it was fucking tight, man, and the lead singer, his range was nuts, man. It was like just like a
Insane.
male soprano, like super soprano, man.
And that's the tough thing about bands that we see so often. We saw it with One Direction and seeing all these bands. It's like all it takes is one person to break off,
yeah,
and then it really is hard to find a band that's gonna be with it till the end. Like Dave Matthews Band, who's like one of my favorite bands, but it's like they have a pack and they've just been crushing it ever since their formation.
Maroon 5 too. You know.
Yeah,
Maroon
no, for sure.
Well,
but
granted-
I was just saying, like,
Oh,
you know, if someone like Dave or Adam would leave,
that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Like, low key.
right?
Yeah, man.
Is
just-
there a band that like all of the members are kind of equally like
Important.
Like,
and
yeah.
stuff.
I'm trying to think. Like, is there?
I can't. Think
Maybe
of
any
one.
Maybe
Well,
the Rolling Stones I would put up there
Okay.
because, but the drummer did say he's not going to do the tour this year
Oh,
because of COVID concerns.
Oh, yeah.
I believe.
That
I
makes
think.
sense,
Yeah.
I think that was the reason why. But
Yeah, well, I mean, like
It's
current
all-
bands, I can't really think of anybody, man.
Me neither.
Right this second. I think I don't know, like cats like Killswitch Engage, you know, they kind of figured it out where they would just like switch, they would just switch lead singers every once in a while, and it was fine.
Oh,
You know what I mean? And yeah, no, I can't really think of anybody where like all the band members were like equally yoked and equally important.
Yeah,
to where,
that's-
One Direction,
oh.
kind of. I mean, Harry obviously was the
Yeah.
the focal point, but
was what's that guy's name? Zane?
Zayn,
Was he part of that too?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. See,
Yeah.
well, that's more of a
he broke away first,
Then Harry Styles started doing his thing
and then
too. So
so
yeah. How do you think artists and the music they make and performances change when they become more mainstream? I think for me personally, I think that like, can you turn it back on, please? If you don't mind.
Set up as ghetto.
It is. We gonna get there, man. We gonna get there.
Yeah, well, that's okay. You brought up a good point because it's like when I was doing all the trumpet stuff, it's like kind of like, not saying this is a penny stock, but like you do all these like little things because like you want you know hear me out.
Yo,
that
was slick. I'm gonna point though.
you want to be on the rise.
Yeah,
This is obviously not like the Joe Rogan podcast, but
Right.
it's like you guys are like dope as hell, and I think you guys are gonna make it. You know, and I know there's like it's just fun to be a part of things. You know,
Right.
and not everyone has that wherewithal though to like do things that aren't already alluring to be at the very top.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It's a lot of artists just don't have that wherewithal.
I'm with it, man.
Yeah, man. And even I think this is a good example. This podcast is like, if I were to get to that level, if we were to get to that level of like Joe Rogan, I would want it to have the same like I wouldn't want it to kind of have to tailor it to be like more mainstream. I wanted to have the same type of
perfect
feel.
example. And the reason why I say that is because now he's under control by Spotify. He started putting out these episodes where Spotify employees were upset at what he was saying, so he has to deal with that.
Yeah.
He changed sets. He was in like
that was because he moved though, right?
It was,
but he moved to Texas.
But they could have recreated it so it had more of a home feel, kind of like this. But like it felt weird. It felt off. He removed it from being exclusively on like YouTube with the full 2 hours to now only be on Spotify. So it's like, but he secured the bag, and and so same with indie artists. When you got that bridge, like you have to go in a certain direction. You have to play those corporate shows. You have to do these late night performances that you might not want to do. You have to put out a certain amount of songs, a certain album cycles, publicity tours, all these little like intricate things that you might not necessarily want to do. So
it's
interesting.
It's an interesting thing, and I'm just trying to think, like, are there any artists that are mainstream that have kind of kept their soul, kept their original feel of just how they were, and also secured the bag? I don't know, man. I don't know if that's a thing.
I think
there's a ton.
Like the first example that I could think of was, and before Tyler was like Igor Tyler and stuff like that. Like Yonkers and stuff like that. And
he's done a really good job.
Yeah, like his first album and like Bastard and Goblin and all that stuff. Like it's still
that's a great example.
I mean, because like the aesthetic and the sonic didn't really change. Like the sonics didn't really change too much. They were still going for that like that really like lo-fi, like purposely like shitty like drum sounds and like there was no clarity in the production at all. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I think it was maybe initially like by accident, and then like as it went on, it was purposeful. I think just to keep those sonics, and it worked really well. Yeah, you know what I mean.
That is a very good example. You're absolutely right. I'll do one more question before we head out. Do you think everyone eventually wants commercial success? Do you guys think like?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Okay, commercial success with like. Maybe like so.
I mean, financially, sure, but the things that come along with it, I don't think so.
So, do you think with the Tyler, the Creator example, do you think he? Well, of course, he has commercial success, but do you think he still like? He has commercial success, and also he kind of stayed the same. You know what I mean? So, do you think people want that, or do you think people are willing to kind of sacrifice? Their originality and their what makes them for the commercial success.
Well, I don't think Tyler stayed the same. I think for his first couple albums, like 2-3 albums or whatever. After that, like once he was doing, like the whole Cherry Bomb situation where he was linking with Pharrell and stuff like that. He grew as a person. He grew, and he was more. Or it's rather it seemed anyway that he was comfortable like being himself and like basically like talking shit and like saying the F word and stuff like that all the time in all his music and like talking about wild shit like horrorcore type stuff. You know what I mean?
You said
like
horror?
No, horrorcore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Tyler used to say wild shit.
Yeah,
like,
he did.
I'm not gonna repeat it because
no.
Yeah, it's like it is. Yeah, no, just in his music, man. Like. But yeah, Tron Cat was nuts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like all that, like that was kind of wild. But no, I think like as he grew as a person, like he definitely like sonically he changed a lot. His production changed. Yeah, absolutely, man. He went from Yonkers and fast forward 5 years and we have Cherry Bomb and Flower Boy and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So yeah, but no, I think there are a lot of people who want success without the commercial success. I don't think everybody wants to have like 2.5 million in the bank and stuff like that because they did a deal with like Apple and they did a deal with like a bunch of other people. No, like for a lot of creatives because of all the shit that comes with being commercially successful, being indie successful is enough and it's fine and it's sustainable. You know what I'm saying? Like making like low 6 figures as an artist and like I mean I don't know how Alan Stone is doing or whatever, but I mean he's. I don't know, but like I mean, like granted, he's not doing like 100 million streams or anything like that.
Right.
But his music is still authentic. It's fantastic. He's one of my favorite vocalists, period. As a writer, he's fantastic. You know, he's gonna have to tour for a long time, you know, to maintain what he's built. Maintain what he's built, but also, like, clearly he loves performing, you know what I'm saying? And that level of success is 100% enough for him. He doesn't have, like, radio hits, and that's okay. Like, American Privilege and Unaware were bangers, man. And they're gonna be bangers forever. Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know if that answers your question. But.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
Well, I think that a lot of artists don't plan this out before they get into it. And I think that's a big problem, because if you don't have a definition of success or what commercial success is to you, then you might not achieve it or even want that. And so, like you were saying, just making something in the low six figures, I mean, a lot of American households and people would be really happy with that, right?
Yeah.
And
I'll take that.
Yeah, seriously. And if you could do that through music, it's like hats off to you.
That's success.
You figured it out.
But I think that's a problem with the generation that's below us, is that a lot of them just want the very top and aren't seeing that there's plenty of spaces in between that. Not everyone can be Billie Eilish, and you might not even want to be. So having a clear direction, and, you know, Kanye says if you fall from, what does he say? Fall from stars so you land on a cloud. It's like, well, at least have something that, you know, could bring in the steady paycheck.
You're still above the ground. You're not on the ground. You know what I mean?
You gotta, if you're opening all these doors and they're not working, it's like you gotta just redefine your approach. And it's why we all liked watching American Idol, the intros to it, because some people were so delusional and thinking that they were good at it when they really weren't. And you're just gonna get that with any profession. Well, actually, no. It's not like you're gonna get someone that wants to be a doctor and, like, they're horrible at studying, because there's clear parameters that will prevent them from getting in the field
for sure
and excelling in it. Like you can't pass the bar, you're not going to be a lawyer.
Right.
Can't do medical school, you're not going to be a doctor. Music, it's like, you could talk. Okay, maybe you have a chance. You know, maybe you could.
You don't have to be an amazing vocalist or composer, like, to.
That's the other
be
thing.
Successful at music. Right. You really just need to know how to, like, either be, really just to resonate with people.
Yeah,
and also,
exactly.
I think even,
and that's what I like about it, because it's like, me personally as an artist, like, I don't consider myself like the best vocalist, but I can still, with me not being the best vocalist, I can still be successful, and that's why, like, it's like kind of fair. I like that.
Yeah,
you know
and it's all about networking and who you know, because, like, I'm not the best trumpet player. And if only the best trumpet players would get all.
You're a pretty good trumpet player.
Yeah, you are.
I was fishing for that one.
He's like, yes, I got it.
Yeah, caught a big one on that one. Still reeling it in. But it's just like, you know, you gotta just. It's all about networking and personality, because, as you guys know, with, like, being in the band and stuff, it's 99% of the time you're hanging out with each other. You don't want, like, that dude that you don't want to be around.
Right.
And so you got to be chill and cool,
thing,
and people want to work with you and do business with you.
For sure. I mean, like, especially, like, in the early days when Masego and the whole Trap House Jazz situation was, like, just building, there were a lot of cats that could have ended up in the band that did not, because they just weren't cool to be around, man. Like
they didn't pass the vibe check.
Yeah, man. And it's like, and honestly, I think, like,
and one of them is before it. No. and now he's running a podcast.
Yeah, like Max sucks at music, but he's so fun to be around. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, yeah, you can pick it.
What's that group? The Billy Manilli one?
Oh, yeah.
We were gonna do a movie on them, and, you know, hearing about their story, it's just like, well, what made them so appealing? They were like too cool. They couldn't even sing. That wasn't even them singing.
Yeah, they were.
So it's like, if anyone could make it, really.
Yeah,
remember
for sure.
William Hung.
It's a lot of artists, mainstream artists. I'm like, how'd you get there?
Right. But I don't know, as you guys as musicians, how you feel confident enough to do these things if you don't have at least some formal training, or, like, at least know the craft of your instrument, right? It's like, to have that confidence, though, I mean, go for it if you can. Yeah, but I still don't feel confident sometimes. I'm like, I'm not that good at theory. I'm not the best, but, like, you got to just do it if you want at some point.
I feel like it's being as time progresses, like, for instance, in the 40s and 30s, where jazz was like the mainstream, like, you have to
you
be
had to know
you had
shit.
to know. You
All
had
the
to,
standards.
Yeah, you had to
transposing.
Read, you had to
knowing
be
how to
solo.
improv. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? All of that.
Yeah.
But as time progresses, especially now, it's a stark difference between
Oh my god.
the 40s and now. Like anybody can play. Like for example, take for example. No, I'm joking.
The jam sessions that you guys have had here, it's like everyone's on the same page because someone starts playing the bass and another one plays drums, sax, whatever it may be, and it's like we all get in a groove. It's like really tough to find that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Ryan, what do you got? Anything coming out? I know. You just got the song with Lil Nas X. You got the Protege coming out. You already have the wife's bodyguard.
Hitman's wife's bodyguard.
Hitman's wife's bodyguard.
You're the first person to mess that up, by the way, in all of America. Not one person ever wrote it wrong or messed it up or said it wrong. So, it's the first.
And you just have the song just dropped out. Your single just dropped. No Preservatives.
Yeah.
That I'm on. Giggity. So, do you have a project coming out soon?
So next week, the 20th, August 20th, is the Protege. The film's coming out. I music supervised that. Got some good stuff in there. Yeah, like it's lit. And Maggie Q did all of her own stunts except for 2.
Okay.
Due to insurance issues, but she's super badass. And it's directed by Martin Campbell, who directed GoldenEye and Casino Royale.
Okay.
And GoldenEye, growing up, playing that game 24/7. That was just it was crazy to work with him.
Have you tried to play that as an adult?
No, I haven't. Is it insane? Or is it just like, why did we spend so much time on this?
Right.
I understand, because back then I understand why we, but as an adult, especially if you've ever played like COD or Halo or something,
you're just like, this is amateur hour.
Going on?
And then
it's so hard.
I remember how everyone was like, always like, you can't be Odd Job. No one's allowed to be it.
Oh, no, it's not fair. Man.
No, it's not fair. So yeah, I'm getting my album mixed and mastered. It's called To a Lane.
Okay.
It's going to be 7 tracks. Nice. Really excited about that.
Nice.
Then there's another song I played on recently, which is going to be pretty big, I feel, hopefully.
Okay.
I've been doing these gigs on Sound Better.
What is that?
It's a company that Spotify bought.
Right.
And basically people reach out to me and they say they need trumpet on a song, and they send me the stems, and I just send them back the stems and do it. And it's like I've been on it for a year and a half now, and I've done 126 gigs.
Oh.
And so it was really nice.
I might have to hop on that.
Dude, you'd crush it. But
Sound Better?
Sound Better.
Yeah.
And so it was just a nice little way to like connect with other people and earn a little supplemental income as well.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that, but that's been good. And then we're wrapping up 2 horror films, one called Abizu and another called The Piper. I'm really excited for those. Abizu?
What's that about? Or can you not give it away?
Well, no, I could talk about it. The premise is like Abizu's the taker of children, and it's about this guy who goes back to his father's place, and he essentially is trying. It'd be better if I just read the synopsis, because I always botch these things, but there's some jump scares in it that still scare me, and I've seen the cut like dozens of times, so I'm really excited about that one.
Is that based on like an actual folktale, or is
it is? Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
That's I gotta watch.
Yeah, we're in the process. We're going to be scoring that soon.
Nice.
We had the scoring session on Monday.
Okay.
Which is where you go in the room with the music editor, the director, and the composer, and you say, I want music here. This is the kind of music we would need to make. Yada yada yada. So
what's it called, like a spotting session or something like that?
Yeah, spotting session.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Piper is all based on an orchestra that gets possessed and turns evil because of the melody that's being played.
Go on.
Right.
Yeah. And so I'm really excited about it. There was a lot involved prior to that because we had to come up with the melody before shooting, because it's sung on camera, it's whistled, it's played on flute, on violin.
Right.
And you need the talent to know what to play.
What key is it in?
If I start singing it, you'll become possessed.
It's
so
like
I can't. But we had to create a melody that's instantly going to be shit's going to go down.
Yeah.
So that was an awesome process. And yeah, we got Expendables 4 on deck.
Okay.
Yeah,
tight.
yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one. And then
I feel like Expendables is about to be like the new Fast and Furious.
I
franchise.
hope. And then 2 other projects. One is Boy George.
What?
Story of Boy George. So I'm
is it
really,
Is it like a biopic or?
yeah, I'm really
Nice.
looking for it. But it breaks the fourth wall a couple times as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So I'm really looking forward to working with him, and he has an amazing story, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then another film called Red Sonja. Which,
Oh, they're doing a redo of that.
yeah.
I remember that back in the 70s.
Really?
Arnold Schwarzenegger was
Yeah,
in it.
Bridget. Nelson.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, he used to have a little crush on Red Sonja.
Yeah.
I've not seen Red Sonja. So.
You haven't?
No.
I'm surprised.
Me too, man. Wait, was it good?
I mean, no,
Okay,
but
that's
you know,
it was good. I might have seen it.
it's like Conan the Warrior, like the original.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
shit.
Okay, so like
It's like
early or like super early Schwarzenegger then.
Yeah,
I
for
got
sure,
it.
for sure.
Yeah.
Conan the Barbarian.
Okay,
So that's it.
nice, man.
Right, man.
Yeah.
So, well, guys, follow us on. We're gonna wrap up soon because Ryan has to go to a movie premiere. But follow us on Instagram. You can follow Dan at Dan X Forte.
Dan X Forte.
There we go. You can follow Ryan at
Music Before.
Music Before, and then you can follow me at Music After. And no, I'm joking. No, follow me at
I
on.
copyrighted that.
right.
So please don't.
Follow me on Instagram at Maxwell_Sensei, and also follow the Lobby Call podcast.
Thank you, Lobby Call.
Yeah, there we go.
You guys are doing it. It's great.
There we go.
It's cool. I'm not mad at it, man.
Yeah, man. Oh, also follow
The hardest part is starting.
Ryan on TikTok. Same.
Before.
Yeah, we go. Music Before, and everything else is Music Before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all social
Website,
media platforms. So
Socials.
there we go.
OnlyFans.
It's like naked playing with the trumpet and shit. Like,
I thought about starting one for just Trumpet, but I was like, how is this going to play out? Like,
How many
It's not a
Valve
good
Oil
look.
sponsorships do you have at this point?
it's just not going to play out well. I mean, because you hear about yoga people and chefs on OnlyFans and stuff.
like naked or just
No,
Oh,
that's
just normal.
that's the misconception about OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
It's supposed to be like a Patreon.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
It's like they're not gonna. I personally don't believe they're gonna venture off. Like when you hear it, they just built that reputation.
Yeah. It's like okay.
Like because I thought more people, especially after Cardi B,
Mm-hmm.
would get on it, music inclined, and maybe
Right.
start dropping snippets of exclusive singles
Right,
or
right,
cool things
right.
like that.
I mean, I guess. It's
I mean,
hard
it's
to
still
make-
it could still happen.
Yeah, but it's I don't know. I feel like it's just harder to make noise. You know, like if Adam Neely gets an OnlyFans, you know what I'm saying? It'll be for music, and I'm not going to subscribe. I'm just going to go to his Patreon. You know what I mean? Like it's because
Right.
if I find out that Adam Neely is on OnlyFans, I'm just like Adam Neely is like naked on OnlyFans, and I don't want to see Adam Neely, you know, play, just like playing bass and giving me music theory lessons.
Right.
And dude, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not.
Right, but
it's
I
not
will
back.
say, like, with other platforms censoring some artists who do get a little too risque, I mean, it would be a smart move to go to something like OnlyFans where it's not, I mean, because there's some crazy things on there, so they're certainly not going to censor, like, a music artist saying bad things or some other stuff, so.
Wait, is Patreon like that? Is like Patreon like I don't know, like Facebook or Tumblr, and that like you can't really. There's some things you just can't put on there.
No, I haven't heard, like, limitations on Patreon.
Gotcha.
It's just more of a place where you could monetize more. It's based on like the subscription tiers that you subscribe to is how much you're gonna access you're gonna get to content. But it's pretty tough for like a content creator to sustain on Patreon as well, because you have to be making certain content for certain tiers of the certain subscribers you have.
Yeah.
That's well, so that adds a whole nother layer.
Yeah.
But again, making like low six figures through that's an amazing opportunity.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right.
We're
We've done it all. Said it all. Done it all.
There we go. We're gonna wrap up. It's been another episode of Lobby Call, and that's a wrap.